and welcome to Lipstick and Lipo, your unfiltered guide to plastic surgery by 2 board-certified plastic surgeons. I'm Dr. Ashley Amalfi in Rochester, New York, and I'm here with my good friend and colleague, Dr. Smita. And
hi.
We're so excited because we have a new series for you guys. These series are really fun and really exciting for you to learn more about plastic surgery from a really great source. And so we're starting a new series, Am I a Candidate? So how do you know if you're a candidate for different procedures? And today we are talking about a fan favorite, right, Smita? We're going to talk about breast augmentation.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously it's one of our most popular procedures. So I think it's really important to sort of break down whether you're a good candidate or not. And I think, Dr. Amalfi and I want to preface all of this by saying ultimately you should always go to your board certified plastic surgeon to really talk to them about your concerns to see whether you are a good candidate for each of the procedures. But this is like a great starting point for you to just be educated before you go see your surgeon.
Love it. So let's dive right in because breast augmentation is fun. This is a hot topic on social media, hot topic on YouTube. You guys are always clicking on these videos. So how do you know if you're a good candidate for a breast aug, Smita?
Well, I mean, listen, I think the first thing, which is so obvious to say, is that you need to have small breasts and you need to want them to be larger, right? At the end of the day, I mean, that's it, right? So a lot of it is going to be whether or not you're happy with the size of your breasts. Oftentimes the size might be okay, but you might be a little deflated at the upper portion of your breast. And you might want a fuller size, whether that's a cup size, whether that's just filling out your current cup size, or whether that's 2 or 3 cup sizes bigger than what you have. So ultimately that's where, we talk to you about your goals and how we can meet those goals the best way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? You just want to have bigger breasts.
But, I think you said it great. You don't have to only want double Ds to have a breast aug. You can have a tiny little breast augmentation and it can be very subtle and very natural or really big and more obvious. And it really just depends on what you guys want. And that's why you come to us and we talk about it. We talk about where you're at, what cup size you're at, where do you want to be, and then we figure it out and we can totally tailor it to your needs. So as long as you want to be bigger, it could be a little bit bigger or like a ton bigger, and that makes you a great candidate for a breast augmentation. So it doesn't have to be like what you see and think, on TV and what you see on social. There's probably plenty of people who have breast augs and you don't even know. And that's totally awesome. We love that kind, right? Don't you?
We love that kind, the natural kind. Well, I mean, that's another good point too, right? Is you can have that natural augmentation where literally, like you said, nobody knows. You can't tell. You can tell. You feel more comfortable and confident, but you're not walking down the street and people are checking out your breasts because it looks so obvious. But obviously there are people that want that more augmented appearance. And we can deliver that also. So that's why it's just really important to talk to your surgeon and express, what you want. And sometimes, we even have people bring in their wish pictures so we can make sure we're all on the same page. But there's a lot of flexibility to know, which is why I think it's such a great procedure. Everyone's always happy and we love delivering exactly what you want.
Yeah. And I think the other patient who's a really great candidate for a breast augmentation is someone who just wants to fill out the upper pole. And at the top of the breast, naturally with gravity, you get kind of this concavity and then this pretty fullness on the lower part of the breast. And with time, gravity, our skin sort of deflating, weight changes, pregnancy, breastfeeding, sometimes you lose a little bit of that upper volume that you had when you were really younger. That's also a great candidate for a breast augmentation, right? Because these implants that we're using oftentimes are round. And that's going to give you that fullness up there that you really liked in your youth and that really we can't achieve with anything else but a breast implant, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think that's why it's such a great procedure because you really can give you more of that round, fuller appearance without really increasing your bra size, right? So if you don't really want to be bigger, you just want a better shape, breast implants can do that too. So it's a great procedure. It's so versatile. So yeah, I mean, I love it. Well, let's talk about the other main thing that oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that there are so many shapes and sizes. So it's not like, we're putting the same thing in every patient. So if you want something subtle, there's flatter implants, there's more projecting implants, there's different brands, different cohesivities. So there's so many options that, you don't have to just look at your friend's breast augmentation and say I want that or I don't. We can tailor it to you. And that's kind of what's so cool about breast augmentation these days. There's so much out there that you can really achieve whatever look you want. You just collect those pictures. If you're out there and you're thinking about breast augmentation right now, start just screenshotting the stuff that you like and also the stuff you don't like. And that helps us, because then we know what you're going for and we'll tell you what we need to use to get you there.
Right. Well, and I think also what's important, just since we're on the topic of breast implants, is there's such a huge variety and there's subtle differences that we can help you with. But also, I mean, I often see patients that come in and they are like, oh, well, my friend got a 325cc high profile implant. I want that too. And then, but at each implant, one implant's going to look different in two different people, right? So a lot of that will depend on your anatomy. And so while we might be able to achieve that same look, we might need a different implant to do that because everyone's body is different, their tissue is different, their breasts are different. So that's also something to keep in mind. Don't get sort of hyper-focused on, one implant over the other because, your friend or whoever else suggested that.
Yeah, great point. It's got to fit you.
Right. It's got to fit you. Exactly. Well, so the other main point also when we're talking about breast augmentation, whether you're a candidate or not, is that you shouldn't have any sagging.
Right.
Right. So I think that's a big thing. And what we mean by that is your breast tissue needs to, not sag at all, whether it's the nipple sagging or the tissue itself sagging. If we need to tighten that skin up, then we're sort of talking about adding a lift to it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
and that's a big thing, right?
I think what you see out there is sometimes people have a little bit of sagging and someone will recommend a way too big of implant to fill it up and correct for that. That is the wrong thing to do because you're just putting a giant weight in a breast that already is not holding itself up, and then that's just going to lead to sort of a very unsatisfactory result very quickly. And so I think if there's sagging, then we really want to talk about a lift. And we'll get to that and talk about who's a candidate for it. But ideally, you should not have any sagging. And the fancy plastic surgery we use for sagging is called ptosis. So if you hear us talking about that during your consult, that means sort of sagging. And you can have two kinds, right? Most people are looking at the nipple and seeing if the nipple is sagging or sitting below the fold of the breast. But the other thing that, Smita and I are looking at during your consult is the breast tissue itself. Because sometimes after breastfeeding, the nipple stays in a really good position, but the rest of the breast tissue gets really heavy underneath. And that's not really going to get fixed with the breast implant either. So we want to be looking at the breast tissue itself and also the nipple when we're looking at how perky your breasts are and if you're a candidate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, ultimately, right, this all comes down to making sure that you see your surgeon, make sure they're board certified in plastic surgery, that they're not a cosmetic surgeon, and they'll really be able to talk to you about all of these things. They'll be able to, examine you and talk to you about your exam and what that means as far as different procedures. So it's you always want to make sure you get the right procedure for you the first time around. No cutting corners, no cheating with different size implants to sort of counteract issues that we just need to address directly, such as ptosis.
Right. Because we want it to look good right away, but you also want it to look good long term. So those are the kind of questions you need to be asking your surgeon. And so we are excited to continue this topic, and I hope that this helped you know if you are or are not a really great candidate for breast augmentation. We're happy to help. Come in for your consult, and make sure that you guys subscribe. So we're on Spotify and YouTube. Check out new episodes. There's so much to learn, whether you're thinking about surgery, you're already scheduled for surgery. All the information you really need to know from board certified plastic surgeons is right here. So we will see you guys on the next episode.
See you guys next week.
Bye.